God's Word, we frequently twist ourselves in knots looking for deeper meanings to every gospel story we encounter. Of course, putting ourselves in the Gospels, trying to relate more personally, and studying the social and cultural issues and practices of the time does offer more insight, but sometimes we look so hard for deeper meaning, we become blind to the basic lessons to be learned. Again, Father Richard Rohr breaks this down for us beautifully. Mark is primarily a gospel of action. Of the 4 gospels, his includes the least verbal teaching. Jesus is constantly on the move from place to place, preaching and healing, but it is mostly an action narrative. Jesus is the invasion of God's big picture into our small worlds, and he does this much more than he talks about it. We have to look at Jesus' actions and how his physical healings consistently rearrange faulty relationships with our own self-image, with others, with society as a whole, and with a God who was henceforth seen as being on our side. There's not much profit in just thinking, wow, Jesus worked another miracle. But there is much profit in noting the changed status, self-image, courage, and relationship to family or community that the cure invariably entails. This is the real transformative message. I am not denying that Jesus could undoubtedly perform physical healing. It still happens, and I have seen it. But the healings and exorcisms in the gospel are primarily to make statements about power, abuse, relationships, class, addiction, money, exclusion, the state of women and the poor, and the connections between soul and body. The exact same issues we face today. Further, Jesus doesn't heal as a reward for good behavior. Usually, there is no mention of any prerequisite whatsoever, and often it is others who have the faith, not the one who's cured. Neither is there any primary concern about a later life in heaven. We project that onto the text. All of the healing stories are present tense concerns for human suffering in this world. They tell us that God cares deeply about the tragic human condition now. How could we miss this? In general, we should see all the rewards and punishments as inherent and current. Sin is its own punishment, and virtue is its own reward now. And surely what God does today, God will do forever. What is true now is true forever. That is our promise of any life and our warning against any eternal death. Today, let's ask ourselves, how do we react to human suffering? And can we follow Jesus' example and try to ease the suffering of others when we see it?